everybody, my name is Rob and welcome to Metal Monthly. In this video series we talk about everything that's been going on in metal music over the past month. I've got coffee. I normally do this with beer, but it's like noon and I was like, probably a bit too early. But this is going to make me hyped and we're going to have fun, so let's get on with it. First up is album releases. As usual, there are a bunch of albums released last month, so I've picked 4 kind of at random. Mostly I know who they are and we're going to talk about them. First up, Alice Cooper, Detroit Stories. Now, I love me some Alice Cooper. I was very excited for this album and it wasn't really that great. There's nothing like classic, there's nothing I could see becoming a classic like Poison or School's Out. Some of the songs pretty good, I will say that, but it just seems a little bit subdued, a little bit boring, and some of the songs are just not very good. There's one song, Our Love Will Change the World, which is just dreadful. Really hope I never hear it again. But in general, if you like Alice Cooper, check it out, maybe you'll like it more than I did. 5 out of 10. I don't know why I'm giving these numbers now. Fuck it, 5 out of 10. It's an alright album. Next up, Architects, For Those That Wish to Exist. I've never really been a big Architects fan, but actually I did kind of like this album. The contrast between the rough vocals and the clean isn't quite as extreme, which makes it easier for me to get into. There's some good guitar stuff there. It's an enjoyable album. Some of the quiet stuff goes on for a bit too long. It makes me a little bit bored. I wish some of it was a bit heavier, a bit faster, but in general, I quite like this. I will be listening to it again. Maybe this is the album that makes me an Architects fan. Who knows? Next up, MELVINS, Working with God. Somehow, this is the first album of the MELVINS I've ever listened to, despite this band being 40 or 50 years old. Anyway, it's really good. I should have got into them a long time ago. The guitar is really heavy and grungy and it's got some really good vocals, and best of all, the band doesn't take themselves very seriously, shown off perfectly in the MELVINS cover of the Beach Boys classic Mess Around, which the MELVINS call Fuck Around. It's 4 minutes long and it's really a fantastic song. Absolutely love it. 8 out of 10. Why am I giving these reviews? Oh, did I not review the Architects one? 7 out of 10. Fuck it, who cares? Next up, Icon for Hire, Amorphous. Metal mixed with hip hop and electronica. It's not especially metal, but whatever. It's a pretty good album. I kind of enjoyed it. I've read online that this band gets compared to Paramore quite a lot because they've got a female singer. I'd like to point out this band is nothing like Paramore. Let's just clear that up. So anyway, overall, it's not exactly my kind of music, but if they played it in a club, I think I'd get into it. I could enjoy this music. Also, remember clubs? Remember that they were a thing. Myth. How long's COVID been going on for? Like a decade?
Myths.
Fake news. Clubs never existed. And finally, Ascent Like Wolves, Mythic Auras. I chose this album specifically just because I really like the band name. Ascent Like Wolves. That's really cool. Anyway, so this is the 3rd studio album from this band that I had never heard of, and they absolutely deserve more credit. This album is fantastic. So again, there's a good mix of rough and clean vocals, the guitar work is sublime, and all the songs are distinct. It's not just the same song on repeat forever. It's a really good album, check it out. Links to all these in the description, do check them out. Next up we have musician deaths. Every month I think it's just right to honour the metal musicians who have passed away over the past month. And at the time of recording this, there were 2 musicians who passed away last month. First up is Urs Cyclosi, and I apologise, I've absolutely mispronounced that name, but I'm not really sure. The vocalist of AWS passed away, and also Sean Kennedy, the former bassist of I Killed the Prom Queen, passed away. Condolences to both of their families. Next up, Music Festival Explorer, something a bit more fun. This is my website, it is Music Festival Explorer. I write about metal bands and music festivals. Remember music festivals? They're a thing. Anyway, I write 2 blogs a month roughly on my website. In the past month, I have written about the very first Glastonbury Festival from 1970, and what a wild ride that was. And I've also written a follow-up article to the only article I have which actually gets clicks, which is Slipknot satanic? Where I actually look at, is it satanic? Explaining Satanism in metal bands, basically try and dispel some of the myths and stereotypes about metal bands. So I did a follow-up, which is about Christian metal bands, or Christian bands in general, who have done horrible things, because just trying to explain that any genre of bands can have horrible people in it. Anyway, links to both of those in the description, check them out if you want, I would really appreciate it. And finally, we have the fun stories. I like to finish Metal Monthly with some fun stories from the past month that you may have missed. They're just fun little tidbits of metal stories that I think are enjoyable. The first story is about a man who created a guitar out of the skeleton of his uncle. Yeah, I wonder if he was rich. So this is the story of YouTuber Prince Midnight, who built a guitar out of the skeleton of his dead uncle. So he died in the 90s and they donated his body to a local medical centre, and after they finished with all their tests they gave the skeleton back to Mr. Midnight. And he said to himself, obviously what I need to do is make a guitar out of my corpse of my dead uncle. Sure, why not? And when asked what the biggest challenge was, he said making the guitar actually playable. Which is like, yes! Surely that's the one challenge when making a guitar. Next up, someone else has now made a metal cover of the Wellerman sea shanty, because apparently that's now just what we do. This time it's Trivium's Matt Heafy, and it's a cover of Wellerman in the style of metal. Is it just me who's bored of this now? I really like that song, and now it's been ruined. But I like sea shanties. I would like to see, like, Iron Maiden do a cover of Barrett's Privateers. Make that happen. Just stop with Wellerman. That's done now. And finally, Metallica performed live on Twitch Gaming last month, but because of DMCA worries, Twitch got rid of the audio and replaced it with generic rock kind of music that wasn't going to get copyright issues. Now this is especially hilarious because it was only a few decades ago that Metallica sued Napster over music theft and basically caused this whole issue of DMCA worries and copyright issues, blah blah blah. So basically, if you go back far enough, all of this is Metallica's fault, and now they're dealing with the consequences of their own actions. So that's everything I have for you this month. Thank you for getting this far, if you did. If you've listened to any of those albums I mentioned, please do let me know in the comments what you think. Follow me on the social medias at OverEdgeKid. My name is Rob, and I will see you next month.